Have you ever found yourself completely lost inside a movie, truly believing the world on screen is real, maybe forgetting it's all fabricated? That powerful sense of immersion is rarely an accident, is it? Especially when we're talking about epic fantasy.
Not at all. It's the product of monumental effort and an almost obsessive level of craftsmanship. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the incredible artistry behind Peter Jackson's The Hobbit films.
Right.
We're going beyond just the story to explore the thousands of costumes, the intricate armor, the unique weapons, and, well, every single prop and piece of set dressing that made Middle-earth breathe.
Think of it as your shortcut to appreciating the tangible magic of Middle-earth on the big screen.
A behind-the-scenes look at the craft.
Exactly. Okay, let's start with a fascinating concept. The idea that the best set dressing is the stuff you don't even consciously notice because it feels so natural. That really underscores the artistry, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Set decorator Ross Vincent championed this philosophy of invisible set dressing. He actually said, "We've done a really good job if no one knows we've been here." It's about filling the background with what he called unscripted stuff, creating a lived-in real sense of place, not just some sterile temporary movie set. The goal is for you to just accept the world.
Right, just believe it. And the teams creating this weren't just like moving furniture around, were they? It sounds like they became artisans themselves.
That's right. The swing gangs, the set dressers and their crews, they were far more than just movers. They actively learned new crafts on the job.
Really? Like what?
Well, for Elrond's chamber, they taught themselves basket weaving. For Radagast's house, his eccentric house, they were binding books.
Wow.
And what's truly fascinating here is that this approach sometimes even involved complete novices.
No kidding. Why?
Well, it wasn't about cutting corners. It seems it was a deliberate choice to foster spontaneity and create what they termed an eclectic reality.
Eclectic reality. I like that.
Yeah, making the spaces feel less like perfect artificial sets and more like real, slightly messy, evolving homes. The imperfection of a beginner's touch actually adds to that authenticity.
This sounds like a fundamental shift in mindset from, say, previous productions. They weren't just building for a temporary shoot. They were creating something designed to last. I mean, they rebuilt Hobbiton as a permanent fixture.
Exactly. That decision to make Hobbiton a permanent fixture for tours, unlike the mostly temporary sets from Lord of the Rings, it profoundly changed the entire construction process.
Wow. So
they had to prioritize durable, sustainable materials. They had to reflect traditional building techniques. It transformed the area from just a film set into a lasting, tangible place, a living piece of Middle-earth you could actually visit.
So that drive for permanence and authenticity, it must have permeated every level of the production, even down to the smallest props.
Without a doubt. The entire production made a concerted effort to avoid plastic wherever possible. They established their own bronze foundries, used real steel for countless items. This wasn't just about creating props for the camera, it was about crafting artifacts worthy of museum displays and scrutiny.
Wow.
Yeah, it reflects an astonishing level of dedication to craft and a desire to make everything feel genuinely weighty and real, right down to the material itself.
That's incredible. Yes. So what does this relentless pursuit of authenticity mean for the tiny details you might see on screen? Like, I don't know, the things in Bilbo's house or the food for a feast?
It means an astonishing level of meticulousness that often goes unnoticed. Take Bilbo's home. The soft furnishing designer, Letty McPhedron, described their philosophy. Aesthetic is rooted in functionality.
Functionality, okay.
For instance, a window seat cushion mat wasn't just decorative. It was designed so its ends could be rolled up to become actual cushions. Seriously, it wasn't just a prop. It was a functioning item that truly sold the impression of a real place.
That's such a deep level of thought for something so subtle. What about food props? I imagine creating action-ready food for a dwarf feast must have been incredibly tricky.
Incredibly so. For the famous bag-end food fight, Catherine Lim, the set finishing supervisor, had to ensure the food was action-friendly.
Action-friendly food.
Yeah, meaning soft enough to throw without injury, able to stick to plates, weighty but not poke out, and crucially, not smelly after hours under hot lights.
Oh, right, the smell.
Exactly. Plus, they had to paint it, which meant factoring in paint drying time. The challenges were endless, but vital for making the scene look both chaotic and, well, delicious.
And then there's the whole issue of scale in Middle-earth, right? With hobbits and humans sharing spaces. How did they tackle that?
Prop master Nick Weir explains the need for everything to be scalable. They required both hobbit and human-scaled items, often for the same type of object.
So 2 versions of everything.
Pretty much. For those oversized chicken eggs, they famously used duck eggs to stand in. Yeah. Even organic glassware had to be replicated at 2 different scales. It wasn't always straightforward, but essential for maintaining the illusion of differing sizes.
I can only imagine the sheer volume of tiny, almost invisible written details that must have gone into building this world. Letters, maps.
You'd be right. The sheer volume of written materials alone, letters, books, maps, parchment, was vast. A new Baggins family tree had to be created in 2 scale.
If I knew.
Because the Lord of the Rings version included Frodo, who wasn't even born yet in the Hobbit's timeline.
Of course. Details.
Exactly. They even had different calendars on the wall in Bag End, depending on whether the scene was set for the dwarves' arrival in April or later in September. It's those kinds of hidden details that truly solidify the world for you.
Speaking of iconic items, we absolutely have to talk about the props central to the story. What about the One Ring? How did they approach that?
The One Ring. Jens Hansen's jewelers created 15 prototypes just to convey the immense gravitas of what is arguably the most important prop. Yep.
The final design was a minimalist, solid 18-karat gold ring. But for extreme close-ups, get this, they had a massive 2.1 kilogram version.
Whoa. Seriously?
Seriously. It gives you a sense of the tangible weight and significance they wanted it to convey, even when it wasn't physically heavy on screen. And Bilbo's trusty dagger, Sting.
Yeah.
Did you get an update for these films?
It did. Richard Taylor from Weta Workshop said returning to Sting for The Hobbit meant giving it a new look.
The main difference from its Lord of the Rings appearance is a twirly detail on the hilt.
I think I know the one.
But no Elvish script etching this time. And actor Martin Freeman, who played Bilbo, he humorously described the technicality of the wire running down his arm for the glowing effect.
Right, for the blue glow.
Yeah, the setup actually required a battery pack hidden in his costume. It's those practical solutions that make the magic possible.
That's amazing. And Gandalf's sword, Glamdring, was that revisited too? Oh, yes. Weta Workshop master swordsmith Peter Lyon talks about improving Glamdring based on a decade of experience since J.R.R. He was able to create complex hollow grinds and precision grinding.
Which sounds technical, but what did it mean practically?
It meant he could craft blades that were both lighter and incredibly strong. This allowed for more dynamic fight choreography and, well, a level of visual realism that modern cameras could now really capture.
Makes sense. And his staff, of course, is almost as iconic as his beard.
Indeed. Nick Weir, the prop master, created a new staff for Gandalf for The Hobbit and also one for Radagast with that striking blue crystal.
Right.
And Sir Ian McKellen, who plays Gandalf, he amusingly recalls how an early poster for Fellowship of the Ring mistakenly showed an electric wire trailing from his staff.
Oh.
Yeah, to a battery pack hidden in his costume. He said it became a bit of an inside joke on set.
That's hilarious. What about the more personal items that truly defined character, like the dwarves' pipes? Were they just props, or...?
They went all out. They made fully working pipes carved from wood. Philly's was apparently the most elaborate. Prop designer Matt Smith said he imagined a dwarven pipe made of carved walnut with ivory and silver, and his expectations were blown by the final product.
Wow. Working pipes.
Yeah. And actor James Nesbitt, who played Beaufort, even felt that Beaufort smoking his pipe in Bag End created a sense of full circle for his character. Little details making a big difference.
Okay, let's transition now to the costumes. The astonishing amount of work that went into not just the costumes themselves, but how they helped actors embody their characters. You mentioned thousands earlier.
It truly is a staggering number. Anne Maskery, one of the costume designers, noted they created thousands of costumes. And not just for the lead actors, but for hundreds of extras.
Thousands.
Yeah, and this included everything. Jewelry, footwear, and even physique-enhancing suits to create the precise physical build for each character. It was a monumental undertaking. Each costume was like a piece of character development in fabric. Host, speaker, speaker. And this wasn't just one department working in isolation, was it?
It sounds like an incredibly tight collaboration.
Absolutely. The 3'7" costume department worked hand in hand with Weta Workshop for all the armor and rigid elements, the hard stuff.
Right.
While Weta Digital was brought in to create digital versions of the costumes for crowd scenes, that ensured seamless continuity across all scales of production. Apparently, the physical proximity of all these departments was a huge advantage.
So they could just walk over and talk.
Exactly. It fostered incredibly close working relationships and a shared vision.
This brings us to a remarkable aspect. The specific costume choices made for each character that truly brought them to life. How did they approach the hobbits, for instance? Bilbo's look.
The hobbits' costumes were designed to be a pleasure for us, as Emma Hare, key standby for wardrobe, put it. Each outfit really telegraphed distinct character. Anne Maskery highlighted a golden autumn glow color palette and choices of fabrics like soft corduroy for Bilbo's jacket, which she said just felt more correct for the character.
You can really see that warmth.
Definitely. And they even created an incredibly intricate hat for Lobelia Sackville Baggins that sort of defied gravity, complete with a handmade glass butterfly, like a miniature garden on her head.
A glass butterfly.
Amazing.
There's a heartwarming anecdote about young Bilbo during a fitting, isn't there?
Yes, Anne Maskery shared this beautiful story. During a particularly stressful time for her, young actor Oscar, who played young Bilbo, just unexpectedly gave her a big hug during a fitting.
Oh.
Yeah, she cherished it, calling it her own special Oscar in New Zealand. It's just a lovely reminder of the human connection amidst all the intricate work.
That's lovely. Moving on to the wizards like Radagast and Gandalf, what went into their distinct looks, especially Radagast's unique aesthetic?
Radagast's costume was incredibly intricate, yeah. Actor Sylvester McCoy humorously described the appalling bird poo detail as something that truly helped him build up and play his character. It allowed him to immediately inhabit that disheveled, nature-loving wizard.
It certainly worked.
Totally. For Gandalf, while his costume matched his Lord of the Rings look, Emma Hare mentioned improvements like faster lace-up boots. Practical things.
Makes sense for an action sequence.
Right, and an itchy, silvery tinsel scarf that Sir Ian McKellen specifically asked for. He wanted it to have a reflective, shimmering quality.
Interesting. Okay, the dwarves. All 13 of them. That must have been a monumental task to individualize through costume. How did they ensure each one stood out?
Oh, it was an immense challenge. And Maskery explained they maintained individuality by meticulously using Tolkien's color cues and very specific fabric choices for each dwarf.
So going back to the book for inspiration.
Definitely. But Paula Collier, a textile artist and dyer, pointed out a surprising hurdle. Cameras often killed reds.
Really? Wash them out.
Yeah, exactly. So they had to use deeply saturated dark dyes to ensure the rich colors of the dwarves' clothing actually registered correctly on screen.
Huh. And for actors playing dwarves, especially the taller actors playing shorter characters, they had some truly unique costume engineering, didn't they? The famous fat suits.
Indeed. Anna Deacon, a costume pattern drafter and cutter, describes the incredible engineering of these fat suits and scale double suits. You've got 6-foot actors playing 4-foot dwarves.
Right.
These suits, made with foam for air circulation and literally 2,000 meters of flesh-colored lycra, were incredibly complex. Bomber's suit, the largest, was an engineering marvel in itself.
We can only imagine.
Constructed from 30 different pieces of foam and thousands of plastic pellets to create realistic movement and ensure actor comfort. They even required twice daily rotations for hygiene. It was like a pioneering effort in performance prosthetics.
All that padding, fabric, heavy materials, it must have created significant challenges regarding weight, heat, and just overall comfort for the actors.
Oh, it was a constant struggle. Carolyn Fenton, a costume supervisor, detailed the vast amounts of fabric and pads used, always trying to reduce weight while still achieving the desired look.
Balancing act.
Totally. Peter Hamilton, who played Gloin, talked about the significant heat buildup inside the costumes. Some characters even required cooling packs. Graham McTavish, Dwalin, mentioned using cool packs for his heavy boots just to manage the heat.
Wow.
It was a huge effort to balance that stunning visual impact with the actors' well-being and their ability to actually perform.
So what does this all mean for the dramatic, often intense visual impact on screen, especially when it comes to armor and weapons? How did things change from Lador?
It signifies a huge leap forward in both technology and artistry. The decade between Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit saw massive advancements in things like 3D milling, rapid prototypers, laser cutters.
All the tech stuff.
Yeah. Rob Gillies, a Weta workshop supervisor, noted that these technologies allowed for a new level of intricacy and complexity in the armor and weapons that simply wasn't possible before. It meant more detail, more authenticity, and more dynamic visual storytelling.
And the Dwarven weapon, specifically, they seem to have had an astonishing variety. Was it more than Lot-R?
Oh, way more. Alex Faulkner, a Weta workshop props model-making supervisor, said they made over 500 unique weapons just for Thorne's company alone.
500.
Yep, which is more than all the hero characters in Lord of the Rings combined.
That's staggering.
It is. They also had multiple variations for each weapon, like Dwalin's axes. There were heavy versions for hitting and flexible, lightweight ones for stunt work. Apparently, actor Graham McTavish could distinguish them just by feel in an instant.
Orc armor also got a significant redesign, didn't it? Moving away from the sort of rabble of Lot-R.
It was actually the most challenging armor to design, according to Richard Taylor of Weta Workshop. He explains that unlike the rabble with piles of grotty armor in Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit's orcs became live, agile hunters.
A different kind of threat.
Exactly, with exposed limbs. Their new aesthetic incorporated materials like bone, horn, and wood, creating a really fresh, menacing, and instantly iconic look for these antagonists.
With all these thousands of pieces, costumes, props, weapons, variations, managing continuity must have been an absolute nightmare.
An immense undertaking, yes. Janie Wilson, an armor and weapons production manager, confirms this. They had to manage hundreds of variants or repeats of costumes, ensuring weapons maintained consistent wear and tear between takes.
Oh yeah, damage would have to match.
Right, sometimes even deciding if a prop should be clean or bloody depending on exactly where they were in the scene. It required meticulous tracking and constant management to maintain that perfect illusion of a consistent world. It just underscores that filmmaking on this epic scale is a monumental collaborative art form. The true value is in not just seeing the final product on screen, but understanding the countless hours, the ingenious problem solving, and the deep passion that makes a fantastical world feel utterly real. Right down to the hidden stitching and the worn boots.
It really is this invisible effort that creates the magic we all enjoy. We just accept it as real.
Indeed. It reminds us that behind every seemingly simple item on screen, there's a deliberate design, a thoughtful choice, and, a story waiting to be discovered.